Hello and welcome back to the another episode of Daily News Quiz Analysis for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 25th December today, and in this video we are going to solve different types of questions which are very much relevant for your preparation. Before we'll start solving these questions, I would like to give you the brief introduction about the video so that if you are the first time visitor of the channel, you will get more connected with it. you know in this video we try to upload this video every day on our YouTube channel, and we try to discuss various types of questions in it. And if we will break these questions into the parts, it would come majorly in three main parts. In the first part, we take up the questions directly. We take up questions directly from the current affairs. What we do, we take up the most important articles from the newspapers. We break them down into the simplest language possible and derive the prelims based questions from those particular articles, so that it will give the idea how the questions can be asked from these news articles, what part of the newspaper is important for you, and how you should go through your current affairs. This is what we are going to discuss in the first part of our video. After discussing the questions with respect to the current affairs, we shift our approach towards the another part of our discussion, where we take questions directly from the static topics. As if you had followed me, you would definitely know that we had started discussing questions from the static topic, and we had started with Indian polity. Right now we are discussing DPSP's last article we have to discuss today, that is Article 51. We'll derive a prelims based question from that particular article, and give you the idea how a question can be asked from that small article, and how your approach should be while going through while reading those books which are recommended to you guys. So this is the another part of discussion which we do here. After solving questions with respect to current affairs and static part, we shift our approach towards the last part of our discussion, where we take up the previous year questions, directly the questions which were asked in our previous year exams. We do the analysis of these questions. We try to understand the vocabulary which the UPSC uses. We try to understand the methods which the UPSC uses, and the methods which we can apply on these questions without, for example, if we don't have the proper knowledge about the question, but still how we can solve these questions without having that knowledge. What are the different methods which we can use in that, and also how we can implement this knowledge which we get from these questions in our upcoming exams. So this is what we are going to discuss in the last part of our discussion. And this is in nutshell what we do in our video here. Now with this, before we'll start solving these questions, I would like to request you guys few things which I believe if you will follow, it will help you tremendously in clearing your exam. What you should do, if I was student like you, what I will do, I would every day start noting down these questions, make my own question bank before the exam. When the month of May will approach and we are left with only few days, usually the exam would be on 25th of May. We are only left with few days. What every student feels at that time, I know that the anxiety level rises, the heartbeat rises, and you want to go through every part of your syllabus. You have to go through CSET, you have to go through previous year question analysis, you want to clear your current affairs, you want to go through the static part, but the time does not permit you to do so. So what you will do, in order to clear all these things, this is the best way to do this. If you have these questions with you, what are the sources. These questions definitely will connect you with the current affairs, they will connect you with the static part, and they will also give you the question previous year analysis, and in this way they will clear your syllabus in a very short span of time. So in this way it will boost your confidence before entering the exam hall. And also, who knows, as our sources are same as the UPSC uses, who knows, there may be many questions which can coincide in the exam, or many statements. At least the concepts would definitely come in the exams. So this is how it can help you. Now I would like to request you guys, please do this, please make the a note of these questions, or at least take the screenshot of these questions, so develop your own question bank. And with this, I would like to request you guys, please do subscribe the channel and share it with your friends, so that they may also get benefited from this initiative. And do write in the comments what do you feel about the video. Do criticize us if any criticism is due. We try our best to clear these concepts to you guys. We are humans, we may tend to make mistakes. Please do write in the comments if any mistake is found. but we try our best to make it clear. Now with this, let us start with our first question. Let us discuss what we have to discuss today. Here the first question says, the first question here says, with reference to the conduct of election rules 1961, consider the following statements. You may ask me a question, sir, what was the need for the conduct of election rules? Why we are going to discuss a question on that? Elections are over from last, where we know that when our legislative assembly elections were, they are over now. They are almost 6 months, or we are 6 months forward now. So what was the need for bringing this question? There is definitely a need because there was a discussion in today's newspaper about the changes which the government has brought in the conduct of election rules 1961. The amendments the government has brought in the conduct of election rules 1961. So we are going to discuss a little bit about those amendments. What are these amendments, and why did the opposition and the public in general oppose this? you know I will tell you a story here. For example, if you would had seen, if you would had observed one thing, that during elections, when elections are going on, after when the day is almost over, the officer there, the returning officer there, or presiding officer there, he gives us the estimate. He publishes the estimate how many voters were there. And on the next day, most probably, the election commission gives the proper estimate how many people were voting, how many people voted that day. Majorly in most of the times, those estimates are very much near, very much close to each other. And if there would be any change, if there would be any variance, that would be very little. So that was the case mostly what used to happen. But in Haryana elections, what happened that the presiding officer, he gave the estimate. Next day, when the election commission gave their final estimate, there was huge difference. So it showed that it was the opposition party members, the people, they felt that there was definitely some corruption had happened there. The votes were rigged, some polling booths were rigged, definitely some polling booths were rigged. So with respect to that, some people from Haryana, they went to the election commission, and they asked for what? They asked for the CCTV recordings of those particular polling booths. And that comes under the rule 93 of the that comes under the rule 93 of conduct of election rules 1961. This rule 93 of conduct of election rules 1961, it gave this opportunity. It was like a right to information, that the people can go to the election commission and they can ask for such videos, they can ask for such documents. So this was what usually happened. So when that particular person went to the election commission, and he was denied the access to the CCTV footages. And with respect to this, he went to the Punjab and Haryana High Court. And Punjab and Haryana High Court, they directed election commission to give access to these CCTV footages to that particular person. So when this was happening, at the same time, the election commission, they felt that there is a need to amend this rule 93. Election Commission of India, they felt that there is definitely a need to amend this rule 93. So they asked the government of India to amend this rule 93. And with respect that, the government of India, they amended rule 93. And in this, they, what they did, that in nutshell, what did this amendment say? That this CCTV footages won't be available to the public. But these CCTV footages can be given to the candidate. If the candidate feels so, he can be given access to these CCTV footages, but not to the public people. People cannot ask for these CCTV footages. So this is the whole story behind it. Now, what do you want? What do you need to remember about this? You need to remember about the conduct of election rules 1961. What does it say? What does it represent? What is this rule 93? This is very much important because it was amended that under this rule, the people, the public, and the candidate, they can ask for anything about the documentation. And it has been amended, and in this it has been put forward that irrespective, other than those documents which are mentioned in that particular rule, they cannot be put forward. It was basically talking about the CCTV footages. So they can't be shown to the public, and the reason for that is, as right now it is the time of deep fakes. Right now the world is going through deep fakes. There is artificial intelligence which is taking part, which is taking over. And right now there are high chances that such videos can be misleading, such videos can be misused by the anti-India agents or anti-peace agents in our country. So because of these issues, the election commission has given us has recommended the government of India to amend this rule 93. So this is in nutshell why we had brought this question, because there was a discussion over it. There is opposition going on from the from the perspective of the opposition leaders, from the perspective of the people. They believe that it is the violation of Right to Information Act, that people can ask for anything. It is violation of that. With that, the election commission also said that if we will give access to such footages, it will evade the privacy of the voter, know that who was the voter, who did vote, how he voted in the elections, and it is more dangerous than Right to Information Act. So they gave these reasons why they had amended this rule 93 of the conduct of election rules 1961. So this is in nutshell what you need to know about this. Now coming to the question here, let's try to solve it. As the question says about the conduct of election rules, let us see what does the question say. Question says, with reference to the conduct of election rules 1961, consider the following statements. First statement: the rules were framed in exercise of the powers conferred by the Representation of the People Act 1951, 100% correct. Second statement: they lay down the procedure for various electoral processes, including the filling of nomination papers and the counting of votes. 100% correct. They laid down these procedures. Third statement: the rule 49 MA, they may ask you about the challenged votes. So you need to know the rule 49 MA deals with the procedure to be followed in case of challenged votes. So with respect to this question, all the three statements are correct. So by solving this question, I hope you had understood the news analysis of this question, the context of this question, and more about this question. Now with this, let's move to the another question and try to solve that. Here the question says, which of the following statements accurately differentiate between the classical computing and the quantum computing? So if I will take you few days back, we had discussed in detail about the classical computing and quantum computing with respect to Indian satellites, how India can use it, what India's approach should be. So here there was another article with respect to the quantum computing, because the Google, they had brought up, the Google had came up with the Willow. uh, they had came up with the Willow. They had came up with the Willow, which is a quantum chip, which will be it is a quantum chip which will beat many supercomputers. So they had came up with this, and it would be a game changing in the perspective of today's technology. So because of that, here was another need to discuss this classical difference between the classical computing and quantum computing. If you remember, we in our previous classes also did discuss that in classical computing we use bits, either in bits, either in code 0 1, either it would be 1 or either it would be 0. And for quantum computing it is like we use qubits, that it would be 0 1 at the same time. So there would be superimposition, and there would be simple superimposition of principles, and there would be quantum entanglement that would be there. We discussed that in detail. If you want to know more about it, you can watch my previous video. There you would see the proper definition of this classical computing and quantum computing. So why we had brought this question? Because of this Willow which has been put forward, which has been brought by Google. It is a quantum chip which will beat many supercomputers. Now with this, we will try to solve this question and get more idea about it. Here the question says, first statement: classical computers use bits, 100% correct, to represent information as either 0 or 1, while quantum computers use qubits that can exist in a superimposition of both 0 and 1 simultaneously. It would be either 0 and 1 simultaneously. If you have to understand much about it, for example, you can take a classical example of either dual nature of light, uh, as it is particle nature and wave nature, at the same time. Or you can take the example of the Schrodinger's cat. If you would had watched the series Big Bang, it was in a funny way described, explained to us what this Schrödinger's cat is. Or you can, at the same time whether the cat would be alive or dead. It is either alive or dead. It would, at the same time. So this in somehow explains the superimposition of both 0 and 1 simultaneously. So with respect to this question, the first statement is 100% correct. Now coming to the another statement, it says classical computers rely on principle of classical physics, while quantum computers leverage the principles of quantum mechanics such as superimposition and entanglement. 100% correct. In the previous class we also discussed about the entanglement, what it is, how by knowing the state of one state of one article or one particle, we can estimate the state of another particle, which how they would be entangled to each other, how these two informations can be entangled to each other, how these positions can be entangled to each other. We can understand it by knowing the state of one matter or one particle. So in this way it helps in the fast calculations. It can do because of these principles of superimposition and entanglement. Because of these principles, the quantum computers are able to do those mathematical problems which will take trillions of years for other normal supercomputers to do so. So this is how this supercomputing, or we can say quantum computers, are very quick and fast. So this statement is also correct. So with respect to this question, both the statement A and B are correct. So for this question, the correct statement would be option D, or we can say option C here. Sorry, option C would be the correct statement. With this, let's move to the another question and try to understand. Here the question is with respect to the remittances which the countries get from the foreign lands. Here let's see what does the question say. Question says which of the following countries has consistently been among the top recipients of global remittances in recent years. Why we had brought this question today, because the World Bank has brought out the important data with respect to the global remittances. What are the countries which get the most remittances in the world? So in this list, the India was at the top. India gets almost 14.3% of the global remittances. 14.3% of the global remittances. So which is approximately, according to data, 129, which is approximately $129 billion. India gets as global remittances, $1 billion. So this is how much money we get from the foreign lands, how much money we get from our diaspora, which is working in other lands. So India is at the top. After that it is Mexico, and after that it is China. So here with respect to the question, it says which of the following countries has consistently been among the top recipients of the global remittances in recent years. It is definitely India. So with respect to this question, the correct option is option D. With this, let's move to the another question from today's news article. It is about the NHRC, National Human Rights Commission. Why we had brought this question, because the chairperson for the National Human Rights Commission has been recommended to the president, and he is Mr. Rama Subramaniam, who was the chief judge of the who is the retired CJ of the Supreme Court. So he has been recommended by the he has been recommended by the selection committee. And why it is in news? Because there was much opposition to it. The opposition parties in the government, they feel that the government was very much biased in selecting his name, and they had ignored the recommendations from the opposition parties, which are also the member of the selection committee. So with this, it becomes important for us to know what is the selection committee for the who recommends the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission to the President of India. As here the question says which of the following is not. Here we have to understand the keyword of the question. It says us which of them is not a member of the selection committee that recommends the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission to the President of India. So here we have to find out who is not the member of this committee. First statement, it says the Prime Minister, he is 100% the member of the committee, but with respect to this question, it is incorrect because it talks about who is not. The second statement, it says the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, 100%, he is the member of the National Human Rights Commission, but with respect to question, this statement is also incorrect. Third, the Vice President of India. He is not the member of the selection committee who recommends the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission. So with respect to this question, it is the option C which is correct because he is not the member of the selection committee. Fourth statement, the leaders of the opposition in both houses of parliament, 100% correct. They are the members of the selection committee. So with respect to this question, it is also incorrect. Now with respect to this question, as it says that who is not a member, it is the Vice President of India. He is not the member. Now who are the members of this committee? It is Prime Minister, it is Home Minister. He is the member. It is leader of the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. It is Deputy Speaker of the it is Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, and it is the leaders of opposition in both houses of parliament, the leader of opposition in Lok Sabha and leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha. So these are the members of the selection committee: PM, Home Minister, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, the Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, and the leaders of opposition of both the houses. So these are the members who belong to the selection committee that recommends the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission to the President of India. And who is not the Vice President, or we can say the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, is not the member of this committee. With this, let's move to the another question from the current affairs. Here it talks about the Rupur nuclear power plant project. It involves collaboration between which of the following countries? You know, this Rupur nuclear power plant is located in Bangladesh. It is their first power plant, and it started in 2001. They have collaboration with it is a trilateral collaboration between Bangladesh, Russia, and India. So with respect to this question, the correct statement would be option B. So why it is in news? Because as this agreement was signed in 2001, and the present government in Bangladesh, they believe that Sheikh Hasina, she has done huge corruption with this regard, and they are relooking in this nuclear project. So there are various issues which can arise from this statement from the Bangladesh, and let us see what will happen to this Rupur nuclear project. Right now, India, Bangladesh, and Russia are the members or the nations which are involved in it. So with respect to this question, the correct statement would be option B. With this, we had completed questions with respect to the current affairs. We had discussed all important current affairs articles which are relevant to your prelims exam. Now with this, we will shift our approach towards the static part of today, and that is Article 51. Here the question says Article 51 of the Indian Constitution, which deals with the promotion of international peace and security, directs the state to endure to. Article 51 part of the DPSPs. We know about DPSPs, they are not enforceable by the court, and also we know that it belongs to the part 4 of the Constitution. So about this Article 51, what does it say? It says that this state should endure to promote, the state should go for the promotion of international peace and security. The state should endure to first maintain just and honorable relation between nations, 100% correct, nothing wrong with the statement. Second, first, respect for international laws and treaty obligations in the dealing of organized peoples with one another, 100% correct, nothing wrong with the statement. Third, settle international disputes by arbitration, 100% correct, nothing wrong with this statement. Fourth, maintain a permanent seat for India in the UN Security Council, totally incorrect. This is not part of this Article 51. It is not a directive principle. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. And from the code given below, the correct code would be option A. So what do we get from this article? Article 51, it deals with the promotion of international peace and security, and it directs the states to endure to maintain just and honorable relation between nations, foster respect for international law and treaty obligations, and settle international disputes by arbitration. It does not talk about the permanent seat for India in the UN Security Council. So with this question, the correct statement would be option. The correct option would be option A. That is 1, 2, and 3 statements only. So with this, I hope you had understood today's static part also. Now, after completing our discussion with the current affairs and the static part, we will shift our approach towards the last part of our discussion, and that is discussing previous year question. And today's question is from the geography. As you know that we had discussed history, we had discussed prehistory, we had discussed ancient history, we discussed medieval, we discussed modern, and we also discussed the India's war for independence or India's struggle for independence, what were issues related to that. We almost discussed every question which was asked in our previous exams. Now we had shifted towards the geography, and this question was asked in 1995. So there are many changes had happened since then. So let's see what was the question asked then. As here we can say the question says which one of the following does not, here what we have to know that it is the vocabulary of the question. It says us which of them does not belong to the biosphere reserve set up so far at that time, which one among them is not the biosphere reserve, which was not set up as a biosphere reserve that time in 1995. So what becomes important for us to understand the language used by the question. They can trick us. Even there are many times when you know the proper answer, when you have the proper knowledge, but still you make these silly mistakes, you don't read the question properly. So this is the practice which we get here. Here we have to understand that we have to read the question very carefully. So coming back to the question here, with respect to this question, it is definitely Gulf of Kutch, as it was given this status in 2008. But now if such question will be asked, all the four belong to the biosphere reserves. But with respect to that time in 1995, it was Gulf of Kutch. But in 2008, it was also given the biosphere reserve. So such questions do come in the exam. Now what you will have to do, you have to go through the biosphere reserves, important biosphere reserves. You have to go through this Great Nicobar, what it is about. You have to go through Sundarbans. You have to go through Nanda Devi, Gulf of Kutch. You have to understand that and read about other biosphere reserves. They can repeat such question in the next exam. They will ask you same question, same language, but the options would be different. So this is how you have to prepare. Now this is what was the correct option at that time, but in 2008 it was also given the biosphere reserve status. So with this we complete today's discussion. I hope you would like the video, I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.